will be in process, and we will also be posting that on the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life website under resources and FAQs. So please, if you have to hop off at any point or just want reference, you can always reference this on our website. Also on this call, we have our Director of Fraternity and Sorority Life, Sarah Hernandez, who will be here to answer all questions in the chat or the Q&A portion. And then at the end, we will also be answering those questions between myself, Zach, and John. So feel free to put any questions in there and we will try to get them all answered. If not, we will contact you directly after the webinar to make sure that we get those answered for y'all. So to get us started, just want to share the agenda for this evening. We are going to provide a community overview of the Interfraternity Council, talk through Recruitment 101, resources for parents and families, and then answer any questions. Turn it over to Zach.
Hi, everyone. My name is Zachary Yekta. I'm the IFC president.
Hi, everyone. My name is John Burns. I'm the VP of Recruitment and Retention for the IFC. Jack Neal is not here tonight, but he's also the recruitment assistant working with the IFC team as well.
Again, everyone, my name is Anthony Siliberto, and I serve as the Assistant Director for Fraternity and Sorority Life here at Villanova. In my role, I'm the primary advisor for the Interfraternity Council. I also oversee our health and well-being initiatives for the community and communication and marketing. So a lot of things that come through our office will come directly from myself or one of our office accounts related to our community. So we're going to dive into our community overview. First, I want to give a little background of the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life. Our office oversees and advises the overall fraternity and sorority life experience here on campus. Our mission is to aspire students and develop them holistically through active engagement with university-recognized fraternal organizations by guiding students to embrace and acknowledge differences, lead ethically, and foster a healthy and balanced membership experience. So we are hopeful that just the glimpse of the fraternity recruitment experience is something that we are partaking in with our mission. General eligibility requirements for any of our organizations that fall under the Fraternity and Sorority Life umbrella are all students must meet a 2.7 cumulative GPA, complete one full semester at Villanova, so be a degree-seeking matriculated student, and also be in good disciplinary standing with the university. Now, there also are community-specific requirements, which I will pass over to John to talk about, that are specific to the IFC recruitment process.
Yeah, so in order to be eligible for IFC specific recruitment, all eligible new members must register with campus director, which will sort of give them the ability to attend our IFC sponsored recruitment events. There is a fee associated with that actually helps put on the events. And helps work the IFC so they get an equal experience with every chapter. And there's also, in the very beginning of spring, there is a recruitment kickoff event, which I believe it's on a Sunday afternoon where they'll get all the information about it. There'll be chapters there that they can begin to meet and build those connections. And it's a mandatory event for all potential new members looking to join an organization. And on top of that, we also have a GPA requirement, but our overall IFC GPA is a 3.54, which I think is pretty good numbers. That we're able to have that and keep that up. There are 9 recognized chapters here on campus. And there's over 600 affiliated students, which I believe is roughly 39% of the male undergraduate population. So it is a pretty good portion of students who are affiliated with our chapters here.
Yeah, so this is the IFC executive team. So we have various roles, as you can see here, that deal with various parts of the community. We have the executive VP, who's essentially serves as my right-hand guy, Anthony Toronto. He's been great this semester. We also have VP of Public Relations, so everything you see on the Instagram and stuff like that comes from Matt. VP Recruitment, obviously John and Jack, and then VP DEI is Victor. So Victor hosts a lot of our DEI events for the community and has really been a powerful force this year. And then we also have our two member development chairs. So that's Patrick and Luke. They do a lot of the more fun things like March Madness brackets and Fraternal Olympics, stuff like that, that we host throughout the year. And then also at the end there, we have VP of Health Initiatives, Xander, who oversees more of our mental and physical health initiatives, such as bringing Zach Wester back to campus and other mental health speakers. And as you can see here, these are our recognized organizations. So if your child tells you that they are joining one of these organizations, that is a great thing because these organizations are recognized in our office and are in good standing with the university. All of these chapters have a unique niche on campus and they have their own personalities. So it is really important to go out and see all of them and get to meet all these great leaders and members of our community.
We highly encourage if you yourself have an Instagram account or your student has an Instagram account to check out some of our organizations. They're also all tagged in the Interfraternity Council Instagram, which we'll share that handle at the end of the webinar as well. Zach mentioned our recognized organizations. We have 9 of those. We do also have some unrecognized organizations who have lost recognition with the institution over the past years. Those organizations do not function out of our office, do not have direct oversight. So we ask that if there is any underground activity happening that is indicative of new member practices or creates the perception of operation, that is reported to the institution through a variety of ways, whether through our office, anonymous reporting systems. We want to make sure that the health and safety of our students is the priority. So 2 organizations that are currently unrecognized include Sigma Chi, who was recently suspended from the institution in December of 2023, and then Sigma Alpha Epsilon, who has been away from campus for quite some time now. But we just like to point those out to make sure that your student is having the best quality membership experience through our recognized organizations and has all of the right information so that they can be prepared going in through the recruitment and potentially new member processes.
Yeah, so with recruitment, there's sort of some key aspects that we would like all potential new members to sort of focus on. And one of them is that sort of gather information, a piece that kind of know how the process works. There's some structured bits to it. Also, I mean, as Anthony just mentioned, we have unrecognized organizations. So making sure you're focusing on talking to the recognized ones on campus and kind of know how the process works so you can have the best experience within it. And its primary goals is to really, as it says on the screen, gauge interest and build relationships. Sun will meet a lot of new people through this process, and the hope is he'll build some good relationships and sort of see what chapter not only he has fits in with the most, but really aligns with their values as well. And yeah, so there is as we mentioned, there is a formal process to this that we sort of set up, and it's pretty important that they follow the process with registering properly and going to that recruitment kickoff and then all the IFC sponsored events. But we hope through that they'll be able to meet a lot of those people and build those connections, and they'll have an overall positive experience joining their organizations. So the next 4 years within those organizations are also beneficial as well.
Wanted to give some overview of what the IFC recruitment process looks like. So we run a semi-structured process. In fall, recruitment is more informal. We refer to informal recruitment as a free agency period. Our IFC community, when I joined the team, didn't love the term continuous open bidding or informal recruitment. So we did throw a sports term on it to make it more appealing, which created a lot of buy-in, which is great for upperclassmen looking to join in their fall semester. So free agency or continuous open bidding is open for sophomores, juniors, seniors, transfer students that meet our eligibility requirements in the fall semester. We focus on the areas of gathering information, gauging interest, and building relationships, like John said. I can't say that enough. You'll hear it quite frequently throughout this presentation. So in the fall, we host a lot of informal sessions, info sessions, more relaxed programming through quad days, quite similar to field days, games, food and music, just a casual way to meet chapters. But the primary focus also on the chapters running their own recruitment processes in the fall. We also host events for first year students to attend, so we make sure that they feel comfortable going through the process, starting those conversations, and they're understanding what they can and cannot do. In the spring process, it is our primary recruitment cycle. It is a structured week and a half to 2 week process consisting of both IFC sponsored events, so things like recruitment kickoff, meet the brothers, football watch parties, all sponsored by the council, mixed with chapter sponsored events. So chapters get to create their own recruitment schedule within that week and a half, 2 week process for them to invite potential new members out to and host them. And we help with the cost of supplementing those events. That process culminates with an IFC bid day, which this year will be on January 31st. And that's the time where they will receive their invitations to join an organization. They formally can accept. And after IFC bid day, the free agency period for spring will open. So literally at 4:59, we open free agency. We share information with our chapters if they would like to continue the recruitment process, or if students are still interested in going through recruitment and joining one of our recognized groups. What is interesting about our spring process is that students can receive as many bids as there are recognized chapters. So they can receive up to 9 bids and make this choice for themselves. I would say it is common to receive 1 to 3 from organizations from what our numbers are showing. So we hope that we can place everyone and are working towards finding homes for everyone within the fraternity experience. Just an overview of what our fall process looked like. We hosted monthly info sessions and quad days, or those field days like I was mentioning. We hosted them in September, October, and November for students to come and see what they were like, get a feel for fraternity life, and engage with our organizations. Some important dates coming up that we want y'all to be mindful of is that recruitment registration via Campus Director, which we'll share that link and a QR code, is open. It opened on November 1st. As John mentioned, recruitment registration is a requirement of the IFC process. So we do encourage people to register as soon as they feel like they know they want to go through recruitment, but recruitment registration won't close until January 20th. So they do have some time to figure that out, but we just want to make sure if they are interested, they get registered. So it's just one thing off of their to-do list. We will be having info sessions for students on November 19th, which is next Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. We run those info sessions every 30 minutes so that we can capture as many students as possible. Very similar to this, it'll share a lot of the same information, but we'll be able to have interaction with the students on campus, answer their questions in real time so that they feel prepared to go through the process in spring. Another important date to be mindful of is our Early Interest Acknowledgement Day. And on the next slide, I'll talk about what early interest is and why we determined that this model was good for our interfraternity council and what that may mean for your student. We developed the early interest model, or EI model, based off of early action admission processes. We found that a lot of our first year students want to be engaged by joining a fraternity, but our requirements as a university deters that until second semester so they get acclimated with the institution, find their stride, build those friendships before they join a chapter so that going through the fraternity process is secondary. The early interest process is for those eager students that know that they want to join a fraternity, are starting to make relationships early on, just to show that like the fraternities recognize that and there is mutual interest between them. So it is a non-binding acknowledgement of mutual interest with a chapter and a potential new member, or P&M. The acknowledgement signifies strong mutual interest with the intention of an invitation of membership or a bid on the spring 2025 bid day. These are extended by the chapter to a P&M via our office. Our office runs this process, and the potential new member gets to decide on where their mutual interest lies. Again, they can receive mutual interest from all 9 of our chapters. They can say, I'm interested in all 9 chapters. I want to keep my options open. They may receive interest from two organizations and be like, I really, really, really am interested in just one of these and want to continue to pursue building a relationship with that specific organization. I can't stress enough that it is an open process. It is non-binding, and it is with an intention of invitation of membership. But again, we leave the choice up to both the chapter and the potential new member when it comes time to bid day. And it really is for the potential new members to be able to set expectations for themselves, and feel comfortable going through the process. Those that receive early interest still need to meet all of our eligibility requirements to receive a bid on bid day. So they still need to meet the GPA requirement, credit hours, be in good standing with the university, as well as register for recruitment, pay the recruitment fee, and attend the recruitment kickoff session.
Yeah, so sort of moving into our spring 2025 schedule. This is our formal recruitment cycle. So it's for all potential new members who are looking to join an organization, including those early interest students who want to join an organization. They have to go through this process as well as everyone else who wants to join. So as Anthony mentioned, our registration for this recruitment is open. We'll send out a link for that. You can register anytime from now until January 20th. So you have 3 months to do it, but by January 20th, you have to be registered. And that's sort of a non-negotiable. But you have 3 months to do it, and to be considered eligible, we can get all your information and you'll be ready to go when our formal recruitment cycle rolls around. It starts off officially on January 19th with that kickoff event. It's an IFC-wide event that's mandatory. We are planning a keynote speaker. We'll go through some of the most important key information about the process, as well as a chapter breakout session to really start the process of meeting all those recruitment chairs of chapters and stuff like that. From January 21st to 29th, that is sort of, I want to say, the core of the recruitment process when we will be frequently hosting events. The IFC will be hosting its own events that are open to everyone who's looking to join, and then individual chapters will be hosting their events, sort of like they're not through the school, basically. It's just the chapter specific for those students who are looking to join that organization. So that will run for about a week or so. We are still finalizing the sort of exact dates of the events and what events we want to have. But that is where the primary process is of meeting all those chapters and starting to gauge interest and build relationships, like Anthony mentioned. January 30th, invite only events. Those are for chapter specific events. The day before bid day, where you can really sort of have that one last experience with a chapter you may be interested in joining. That's also around the end when interviews happen, which are run by individual chapters, they're not done through us, they're just done through the chapters. And then it all ends on January 31st with that bid day. It will be a very formal day when they will get their bids. They go to pick them up in the office, where they can either accept their bid to whatever organization they wish to join, and stuff like that. And it's a really fun process. It's always a good time. And then, as Anthony mentioned, after that bid day, that's when free agency begins.
Yeah, and I just want to mention as well, if a student registers for recruitment, one of the questions in the registration process is to list a parent or guardian, contact their relationship to that person, and the contact information. So email, because we believe that communication is key between parents and families in our process. So before recruitment starts in January, anyone listed as a parent or guardian contact for a student will receive a letter from my office, signed by myself and our director, outlining the process of recruitment, as well as what can be expected from the parent and family side. And then the students registered for recruitment will receive a letter from the Interfraternity Council executive team mimicking that, but more student facing. So just so you know, there will be continuous parent communication throughout the process because we really do value the Villanova family.
Yeah, and just about that registration, the link is up there on the screen as well as the QR code. This will open you to the form where they input all their information. That's how we sort of see all the potential new members who are interested and how chapters can sort of access them and sort of sort out their bid lists and kind of do all the work on the back end to make sure the registration and all like the I guess the logistics of Rush work out. And as we mentioned before, there is a fee for recruitment of $51.25. It's the $50 goes to the IFC. There's $1.25 fee from the service that provides it. But that $50 goes towards the IFC's budget, which really helps put on these recruitment events. A lot of them will have food catered. We're looking to do some maybe events where we go off campus and rent out spaces to really give the students who are looking to join a really good chance to meet people in a fun and safe environment.
It also includes their bid day swag because we believe that once they're members of the community, they get to get some swag that represents that they have joined a fraternity. So all of that John mentioned also goes into that fee. Awesome. I want to touch a little more on free agency. So after the conclusion of IFC bid day, chapters may participate in a process referred to as free agency. Again, it's informal. We will let both chapters know who's eligible for free agency and the potential new members that may not receive membership invitations, what chapters are participating. Not every chapter has to participate in free agency. We let them kind of dictate their schedule of free agency. Some like to recruit for a week, some like to recruit for 2 weeks. Free agency has to end before their new member process begins. We review all new member processes and approve all new member processes for our organizations, and then the new members of those organizations also receive copies of that. So recruitment, whether it's through the formal process or through free agency in spring, must end before their new member process begins. I will say between 4 and 5 of our organizations typically pursues free agency to continue building that new member class and so that they can build their organizations as well and provide a quality membership experience. Wanted to share some data from a recent survey that we partnered with from the Piazza Center at Penn State. This is the Fraternity and Sorority Experience survey data from our students that took this in the spring. And we asked why students are joining their organizations. They were asked to rank their 3 top reasons. You can see from the data here that friendships, social opportunities, and philanthropy and service tended to be the top 3 for all of our students that participated in the survey. We had about 39% of our population participate in the survey. I'm not a huge data person, but I do know that's good for a survey from what our friends at the Piazza Center shared. We are seeing a rise in both leadership development and career networking nationally, specific to fraternity membership. As students coming to college change and their shifts in trends, we are seeing that career networking is really the one that's making the rise. How are they going to proceed with internships or job opportunities or external curriculars is really a driving factor for why students are joining the fraternal community. And that's great to see. So we are mimicking that in our processes when it comes to our member development by engaging our alumni, engaging in member development through bonding and connections. So we're really trying to meet our students where they're at as we see the trends ebb and flow. I'm going to pass it to John to talk about some key data that he found really important to the fraternity experience.
Yeah, so basically there's not so we have our own Villanova Interfraternity Council. There's a national interfraternity council that sort of did some research on all the sort of IFCs and chapters within the country to get some really interesting findings about sort of how fraternities are operating within society. And so I found some statistics and put them up on the screen that 83% of members indicate stronger leadership confidence as a result of their fraternity membership. As Anthony mentioned, like leadership is becoming ever more involved and sort of being affiliated with a chapter. Fraternity alumni find jobs more quickly after graduation and are more engaged in the workplace. A lot of our organizations have deep alumni networks that we're always looking to sort of communicate with and help us navigate the job market, which could be a little tough to do coming right out of college. Nearly half of fraternity members serve in other campus leadership roles, and nearly 75% of chapters offer focused leadership development programming at least monthly. And that's definitely something that we do on this campus for sure, even though this is a national survey.
We'll pass it to Zach to take the next 2.
Yeah, so why do fraternity members love their college experience and have this great experience? So I think from you can see from the data that 8 out of 10 fraternity members saying that they would rejoin their organization if they did it all over again. I think that looks really good and shows the strength in our community. Also, you can see that 75% of fraternity members demonstrated strong satisfaction with their student experience. And nearly half of the fraternity members serve in other leadership roles on campus. I think that's really important to note. A lot of the members in the IFC community you'll see in various organizations across the university, and it really is a testament to how restless and outgoing our community is to try to get in those leadership positions across the university. And you'll find them everywhere, whether it's SGA, ROTC, or whatever organization on campus, they're going to be there. And you can see that in the data and also in the with volunteering. You look at Special Olympics that Villanova hosts. Most of those committee members that run that organization are in Greek life, whether on the girls' side, on sororities, or fraternities. And I think that really is a great testament to our community. Yeah, so how are members of a fraternity exhibiting, good academic behavior? We can see in the data that 78% of fraternity members feel a strong connection to the campus and are mostly satisfied with their experience. Nearly 80% of men report good, excellent mental health and well-being. We've made a lot of strides in this, specifically in the past year or two. We've made massive capital investments in mental health programming on campus because we noticed that there was a lack of mental health resources, and we wanted to improve that for our members. And you can see that now with fraternity members exhibiting strong interactions, not only with other fraternities, but outside of our community. And they have higher ratings of feeling like they're being cared for and feeling like they belong in the community.
Yeah, and so basically just to talk, I know we talked about the process of recruitment a lot and just some of the tips that we sort of observed. Of course, me and Zach went through it at Villanova and just how we sort of structure it so we see other people's going through it is to be authentic, to really, if you're trying to find a home in this community, it's great to just be yourself so you can really find the group of people that you mesh well with and the chapter that you'll definitely have the best experience with through out the years that you're within that. Also knowing why you want to join a fraternity, we sort of saw the reasons why some students wanted to do it in that survey that was conducted, but sort of know why you want it so you can be able to identify what you're looking to get out of it. Keeping an open mind is always important. We have 9 chapters on this campus. All of them are unique in their own certain way. It's great to be able to have an open mind as you go to each one, not just sort of get locked into one. It's great. It's great to make connections, but it's if you really want to find your home, it's great to make lots of connections and really see the opportunities that are out there. And finally, enjoy the process. It was one of my favorite times when I was a first year at Villanova. It's definitely structured to be a fun process where you really get to build those relationships, and it should be an enjoyable experience for all. And that's sort of our hope with how we structure it and run things.
Awesome. I also wanted to share some exciting news with y'all is that our Interfraternity Council is expanding. John, Zach, and I all are on our IFC expansion committee that is comprised of faculty, staff, and students that are growing our community. So wanted to share the anticipated timeline with y'all. We had 20 organizations apply for 2 positions, for 2 chapter spots at Villanova. So it is a rigorous process, but we are excited to welcome 2 new organizations to our community, one starting in spring or fall of 2026, and the other starting in spring or fall of 2027. So we are expanding the community, which gives our students more options to join because we know that there is value in joining the fraternity community, and our students are seeing that and requesting it. So we are also meeting our students where they're at and making sure that we're following through with requests that we get and the need for growth. To wrap up, before we get to questions, wanted to share some resources for parents and families that we find would be very important throughout the process. So when it comes to supporting your students, please ask questions. We are all happy to answer questions from either parents and families or students. Encourage students to ask questions. We again want them to be informed, and we want them to have a great experience. So again, gathering information, engaging that interest, and building relationships. Listen and validate them. Everyone's experience through the IFC recruitment process and potentially new member process looks different. So listen to them, validate their feelings of going through recruitment. There is 9 chapters. That's a lot of options. Going in prepared, knowing what you want. It's a dual process, right? Like they're in quotes interviewing you as much as you're interviewing them. So make sure that they know that and they feel good and confident going through the process. And again, to echo Zach and John, encourage them to attend multiple events. It's important that they get to see the options that we have, both from the IFC community side. All of the IFC Council sponsored events are community facing. We ask that all of our chapters attend those, whether we do one night where it's all 9 chapters or we do 2 nights where there's 5 and 4. We really want that to be a sense of community amongst our organizations, because we know that one organization may offer something different than the other, and students have the opportunity to see that. So again, attending multiple events gives you better options, and ways to see where you think that you would fit as a student. We like to include resources and reporting options in all of our presentations. If you attended our FSL 101 session, these may be repetitive, but we love to bring them to your attention just in case you may need them or a student may need them. We do have reporting forms online, both anonymous, and you can include your contact information, both through Ethics Point, which is a holistic reporting option. It gives you different ways to report and different topics. We also have a specific hazing reporting form. If you suspect anything in the new member process or recruitment process isn't lining up, we want to make sure that, again, our students' health and safety is a priority. We have really great relationships with some campus partners who wanted to include them, as they are also resources for parents, families, and students. So Residence Life is a great one, right? That's where students are living. They're embedded into those communities. So we have spectacular relationships with them. Our counseling center, as Zach mentioned, mental health is a priority for our IFC community. So we have a great relationship with them and a lot of interesting and exciting things coming down the pipeline for our students to get engaged with. Our Dean of Students office, amazing humans. We work with them frequently, very big supporters of the fraternity and sorority life office, and help us navigate what works and what isn't working in recruitment and trends that we're seeing with students. And then our Title IX office. They provide a lot of education for our communities, and also just a great resource for students to be connected with, both preventively and in response measures. And then we do have 24/7 emergency response and confidential support. Didn't list all of them, but happy to share those resources from the website if requested. Always can access those, whether it's our telehealth option through public safety, and other reporting measures. Pass it
Yeah,
to Zach.
yeah, this is some of our contact info. We really appreciate if you guys follow us on Instagram, as we post a lot of updates on there, and we really try hard to, make sure that our community gets recognized through our Instagram. There's also our office's phone number there. So if you want to call for any questions or email, preferably if you have a more detailed question, it would be great to shoot us an email, and get in contact with us. We're really happy to just answer all our questions because we want you guys to be comfortable for your kid goes into the IFC community, to know all the information. So, oh yeah, I think you're muted there.
No.
Of course, technology. We are going to get started with our Q&A portion. We're going to end the recording at this point so we can engage with the questions. Sarah has been sending the 3 of us those questions, so going to take a look at them and direct them to Zach and John for their opinions. Amazing. One of the questions for both of you, which I think is very timely with our values and action accreditation process, is do alumni of the fraternities come back and engage with the current members?
Yeah, I can kind of speak to this. So for my chapter specifically, I know a lot of chapters do this. There is typically an alumni panel once a semester with our usually focused on our sophomores and our juniors because those are the ones that are going up for jobs, internships, stuff like that. So we have those panels basically of various alumni. And actually last year we had a Secret Service member who was an alumni serve on the panel, which was really cool. And it was funny to hear his perspective. And it's always great to kind of hear how things have changed in the chapter and how some things have actually stayed the same over the years. So those are really great opportunities. And I will say, like networking wise, like I think my beta network, so like my chapter's network, was probably the strongest network I have at Villanova. I've been able to obtain internships and jobs even simply from other betas that I knew. So it was really a great experience for me. And also, we are currently organizing one of the largest IFC events, really, in the spring with our alumni, where we're going to have close to like 100 or so, 120 or so alumni come, and we're going to rent out the Villanova Inn, which is the hotel that Villanova owns. We're going to rent out the banquet hall there. And have a really good dinner and a speaker from our national org. So I think every organization does a lot with alumni. I can't speak to all of them because I don't know the specific workings, but maybe John, you talk a little bit more about your organization. But I know as a whole, we do a lot with alumni.
Yeah, definitely my organization does sort of similar things. Alumni weekend at Villanova is always a fun time to sort of see those members of your organization who have graduated and have good connections with them. We're always reaching out to those people with questions when it comes to networking, stuff like that. They're usually always happy to answer, and really help leverage those connections to advance yourself in the sort of life after college. We're really excited about this event we're going to put on this spring. Our IFC executive team is going to put a lot of work into it. We're reaching out to alumni chairs because we really want to get those Villanova IFC alumni involved in it, and we think it'd be really beneficial to our community to have that sort of network to go off of. So yeah, I mean, Zach's chapter does, I know my chapter does, and I'd be pretty confident saying a lot of chapters have those strong networks.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to tag on from the advisor piece, each of our organizations has a dedicated alumni advisor that helps support the chapter. That's either voted on by the chapter or appointed by the national organization, and they help kind of cultivate what alumni engagement looks like. A lot of alumni join us for homecoming or reunion, and are really engaged throughout our office as well. So thank you for that question. Next question, how does a student show interest in early interest?
Yeah, so I can speak on this working with Rush or recruitment in general. So for on the chapter side of it, so recruitment has been going on all fall in that sort of informal, casual way that Anthony mentioned. And on the side of recruitment chairs, who I speak work with pretty directly, and I coordinate with, they have their early interest lists that they submit directly to our office of those sort of students who they are expressing interest in to have that potential to extend membership in the spring. Those lists are due to our office before early interest acknowledgement day. And once we get that final list in from the chapters, we will send messages out to those students who had interest expressed in them. On that day, they can either accept that interest and express interest back to that chapter, or they can defer it. So if they've been sort of going out to chapter events and meeting these recruitment chairs and stuff like that, they will get added to their early interest list, and they'll have the ability to either accept or defer that on early interest day, November 22nd.
Yeah. Thanks, John. I appreciate that. Zach, as former VP of recruitment on IFC before assuming the president role, want to direct this question to you to help answer as well. But could you speak a bit to whether all students who enter recruitment receive bids and the trends that we've been seeing positively in terms of membership invitations?
Yeah, no, I can definitely speak to this. So I served as VP recruitment as well before president, and during that time we were coming back from COVID, right? There was kind of a disconnect between the previous IFC before COVID and the IFC that was coming in after COVID. So, coming in after COVID, we really wanted to make the recruitment official and more, noticeable on campus. It was kind of not an official organized thing. So, when we did that and we came in and we had official events and we had a registered recruitment process, we saw that we had a much increased bid percentage per how many people were going out, right? However, it still wasn't great. It was around, I think, something like 40% of members who would go out to, recruit and participate in recruitment would get a bid. And I'm happy to say that over the past 2 years, we've made tremendous strides, and now we're at a rate of around 50 to 60% of members that go out to recruitment get bids. And I think what you'll continue to see as we are adding chapters, right? We're adding 2 new chapters. The important thing with that is every chapter has a niche, right? And not every, our current 9 chapters are great, but maybe there's a niche out there that isn't being filled. And that's what we're hoping to bring on with these 2 new chapters is those niches that we're missing out on, because we're missing out on kids that would have a great experience otherwise. So I think once we bring those chapters on, you're going to see that bid percentage go up even more, which will mean more kids, find their home. So.
Yeah, and to touch a little bit and share updated data, in that first year when Zach was VP of Recruitment, reached a goal of 60% placement. Last year, as he assumed president and a new exec took over, we reached 70% placement. So continuously we're adding, making changes to the recruitment process. So we are making sure to prioritize student success and happiness in the recruitment process. Question here about will the student info session on the 19th be recorded in case they cannot attend? The room that we are hosting it in does not have recording capability. However, I can work with John and Zach and the recruitment team to do a recorded session that we can share on our website or out to students, and also do some recruitment highlights from that session on social media. So if they do have Instagram, it can be found there. And we'll also do a recorded session for students that can't make it, who are still interested in joining or learning more about the process.
And just to touch on that, a lot of the
Yeah.
information we go through in that info session will also be presented again at the recruitment kickoff, which is the mandatory event in the spring. So they will get all the necessary information before they are eligible to join any of our organizations on campus.
Question coming in, is there a form for early interest, or is it just from attending events that have been taking place? I can answer this one. It is that mutual interest or that building relationships piece. So from events that are taking place, meeting people at info sessions, going out to chapter sponsored events, coming out to IFC sponsored events, and forming those relationships there. The recruitment registration is really what helps the process. And I would say less than 40% of the new members that join our community in the spring are early interest. It's a great number population, but it is not the majority of those joining in the spring. It helps both the potential new member and the chapters navigate the process, but it's not the full end to the process, I should say. Zach or John, do you have anything to add about early interest?
No, I'll just say it's a good way to, from a chapter perspective, it's a good way to meet kids. Kind of allows us from a chapter perspective to vet kids more and kind of get to know them on a deeper level. Because, when you're inviting someone to your fraternity, it's really like you're inviting them to be a part of your organization for the next potentially 3 years. So it's important that we know who we're inviting in, and I'm glad we have the early interest process because of that.
Thank you. Of the 70% who joined last year, how many were during the free agency process, and how many were men that did the formal process in the spring? I am not a math major, nor have I ever been, but I can give you numbers on how many students that was, but not the percentage at this moment. I would say 25 to 30 men received invitations of membership through the free agency process, and of that, at least 50% went through the formal process. Others joined after the fact and registered. We did a late registration last year for them, which was built into the IFC dues, if they became a new member. So still capturing that. And it was through the Friends of Friends process. The 50% that joined outside of the formal recruitment process um, learned that a friend joined, and that friend recruited them. So that's kind of how that process worked in the spring. And happy to share any more data with anyone that asks post session.
Yeah, I think that's also important to touch on that the free agency in the fall is not for freshmen. That is a sophomore, junior only thing. So if you are a freshman, you cannot participate in fall recruitment. However, if you're a sophomore or a junior, you are able to participate. And if you can do free agency during that period, that is allowed in because it is a continuous bidding process in the fall. Or you could wait till the spring as well. And then even past that, past bid day, there's also a continued free agency, just for clarification there.
Sure. Another question related to free agency. How do students who don't know anyone in fraternities go about doing the free agency process? If they are a sophomore, junior, transfer, senior looking to join a fraternity, they can connect directly with our office. I have pretty frequent meetings with students who are interested in fraternities and don't know where to get started. Either I will meet with them, Zach will meet with them, John will meet with them, especially in the fall semester if they're learning how to navigate the informal process. If it's a spring process, we encourage them to register for recruitment or learn about the process through our Instagram, our website, and then connecting with an officer after a formal bid day if they miss that process. Just so they're getting the information, know what chapters are participating in free agency, so they can set expectations and manage expectations for themselves with all the information that they need. So it really is about the reaching out, asking questions, and making connections with our office and the IFC executive team first if they don't know where to start in the fraternity process. We are happy to share recruitment, share information for our chapters. We do get consent from them to share their email addresses to help people get started and reach out to students.
Yeah, and that comes to the importance of our IFC sponsored events, which are open to all students and all chapters are present at those events. So if they don't really know anyone, that's when you can sort of make those initial connections that are sponsored by our teams. And all fraternities are there. So even if you don't know anyone, those are a great chance to meet them and begin to build those relationships as you start your process.
Yeah, and just to clarify free agency a little more from a chapter perspective. So in the fall, free agency is essentially going to be kind of like what Anthony said, like, oh, like you're friends with someone in the fraternity and you're a sophomore or a junior. You want to join the fraternity as a sophomore or junior, so you get free agent, you want free agency, right? It's not like official like freshman recruitment in the spring. It's more so like you would have had that connection with someone or you knew someone before, and that's kind of how that develops. And then when it comes to the spring free agency period, which is after bid day, that's more of okay, we got we want to fill out our class more. Or hey, maybe we didn't we had a couple kids we weren't sure on, so we didn't necessarily give them bids the first time around, but now we're reconsidering. So let's look at that free agency list and see who we might want to bring out again, and maybe we'll extend them a free agency bid later on because we weren't 100% sure. Just to clarify, like that from the chapter expense perspective, that's what we're thinking of when we're giving these free agency bids out.
Yeah, and for those that may not know anyone in that fall semester, again, we host those chapter sponsored events or open events on campus, publicly, in spaces where we know that there's a lot of student traction, so that they can learn about our processes. And then we also have a key event that's hosted by our office called Meet the Greeks that is open for anyone interested in joining a fraternity or sorority on campus to get an opportunity to meet all chapters and learn more. So those are two ways in case you don't know someone in a chapter and are just starting out the process. One of the questions I saw was, is free agency the same as rush? And how long does that last? People tend to use rush and recruitment as interchangeable words. We focus on the recruitment side of things. Because there is a process behind recruitment, and rush used to be like you're going out and trying to get to the first chapter house you can before they make decisions and making that first impression. So we tend to use the word recruitment when referring to the overall process, and free agency is our informal process within recruitment. So we have our informal, which is free agency, and our formal process, which is primary recruitment. Take a look at the questions. I think we have answered all the questions that have come in so far. If we happen to miss your question, don't worry, we will make sure to respond to you, or at least add it to our frequently asked questions on our website. So please refer back to the recording of the webinar on the Office of Fraternity and Sorority Life website under the resources and FAQ section. It'll be posted there with a thumbnail. You can find our FSL 101 that we did in September on there. If you're interested in learning more about the Panhellenic process, that is there, as well as our OFSL flipbook, which is a snapshot of each of our chapters and the entire community. So highly encourage viewing that page and those resources. And again, if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to myself via our office number, or send an email to ifc@villanova.edu. We appreciate you attending. Thank you so much.